Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear learners. Welcome to English 11 and welcome to the Chase Academy. I'm your instructor Zia Hamid. Dear learners, so far we have completed our 6 units from the book. Today, this is an introductory lecture of Unit 7 where I will introduce you with all these different diverse students learning outcomes or SLOs that we will be covering in the upcoming lectures. So it will be a very short lecture for you to have a very good introduction about the SLOs so that you come prepared, you understand the wording of the SLO and how it is working and what we are going to learn about it. Now, let's talk about our lecture number 1. In this lecture, we are going to talk about the competency of vocabulary. Now, in vocabulary, we know we are dealing with words. So, our SLO says, demonstrate understanding of figurative language. We know what figurative language is. It's language with a lot of different literary devices, poetic devices, figures of speech, and it is mostly found in your prose and also mostly in your poetry. So we are going to demonstrate that we have a very good understanding of the figurative language, word relationships, and nuances in word meanings. How words are related to each other. Words share a very good relationship with one another, and this way we can enhance our vocabulary when we are understanding the relation of words. Next thing is nuances in words meanings. Dear learners, nuances. It's maybe a new word for you. Nuance means slight difference, just a little bit difference. In Urdu, you call it पहलू. Like एक अल्फाज के कई पहलू हैं, पहलुओं में मतलब है. तो, alright, in the same way, we are going to see that how one word or there are different words about one thing, but they have nuances. For example, the word look, see, watch, stare. All these are words related to the verb of looking through your eyes, using your eyes, your sight. But these words have nuances. They have slight difference, and we need to use them correctly in the right context. So this is what we mean by nuances. So we will learn 3 things. The takeout is, first, we will revise and go through the figurative language, then words relationship, and lastly, in this first SLO, we are going to see the nuances in the word meanings. Now, in the same lecture, we will try to cover this learning outcome as well. Interpret figures of speech. We know figures of speech are falling in the figurative language. That's why I have combined these 2 SLOs together. Interpreting the figures of speech. And this time we are going to learn about euphemism and oxymoron in context and analyze their role in the text. So these are relatively new figures of speech that we will learn this time, oxymoron and euphemism. So they are very interesting to learn. Next lecture, we will talk about, in lecture number 2, analyze nuances in the meanings of words with similar denotations. So similar denotations means words with similar meanings, the literal or definition meaning that you can find in the dictionary. And this is what we mean by denotative. We will revise what is the difference between connotative or denotative meanings of words. So again, we will analyze the nuances that when words are having similar denotations, still there are nuances. So there are aspects that we need to understand. This way we can use our vocabulary well, we can enrich our vocabulary. So this learning outcome, this SLO is very much important if you want to build up your vocabulary, and we will learn a lot about it. Lecture number 3 is, again, it is related. It's about connotative and denotative meanings. So we will understand that how we can distinguish, we can differentiate between the connotative and denotative meanings of words. A word can have a connotating meaning and it also can have a denotative meaning. What are these meanings? Both similar and dissimilar denotations and their appropriate use in a variety of writing and text. we will see and we will go into the depth of the words, how words have meaning in context of the society, in the context of the culture, and how words are having literal meanings as we can find in their definitions from the dictionary or other sources. So again, this is between connotation and denotation. Lecture number 4 says demonstrate the knowledge and application of parts of speech in oral and written communication in varying degrees of complexity. We will revise parts of speech, and we will also see how we have covered this SLO many a times, but with every time we learn something new, because this SLO, dear learners, is very comprehensive and it involves all of your parts of speech with their varieties and complications. So in the next lecture, now you know we are talking about prepositions. Do you know what a preposition is? If you know, that's great. So identify and use compound prepositions. Yes, we are going to use prepositions in this lecture, but compound prepositions. Two prepositions combined, two or more prepositional words, when we combine them, we call them compound prepositions. And also prepositional phrases, words or phrases involving prepositions. So this is about learning about compound prepositions and prepositional phrases. I hope that you will revise and you will recall what a phrase is and what is a preposition and how many prepositions can you name. Very good. Now, next lecture, the SLO is recognize and use correlative conjunctions. Does it ring a bell? I hope that you are aware of conjunctions and the three main types: coordinating, subordinating, and correlative conjunctions. Including pairs, we know correlative conjunctions, they work in pairs. For example, both and, this is a pair. Either or, neither nor, not but, and not only but also. And the second SLO here paired up is use gerunds, infinitives, and participles. Three things: gerunds, infinitives, and participles. Very important things to understand. So we will differentiate between these things. What is a gerund? What is a participle? What's a present participle? What is a past participle? And what are infinitives? So we will learn about that. Now, we will revise our use of gerunds, infinitives, and participles in this lecture, and then we will evaluate in lecture number 7. Now we are dealing with the reading comprehension SLOs. First one is evaluate two or more central ideas of a text and analyze their development over the course of the text, including how they interact and build on one another to provide a complex analysis. We know that when we are reading something, there's a main idea. But what if there are two main ideas or more than two central ideas? How do you analyze them? We will see about that using different texts as example. And next, we will provide an objective summary of a range of text, including fiction, non-fiction, and other types of text. How can we objectively summarize any given non-fiction or even fictional text? We know what we mean by objective summary. It means that this summary will not involve our personal opinions, understanding, or explanation. We will objectively summarize. So we will see that. And in lecture 8, critique reading interpretations. Next, read with accurate pronunciation, appropriate pitch and voice variation suitable for fictional and non-fictional text. This SLO, the second one over here, is all about reading correctly, and we will use our understanding of appropriate pitch. How do we pronounce each word? The first one is that we read different interpretations of one text and understand them. Then we are going to talk about applying these two reading strategies, skimming and scanning. Let me read the SLO for you. Apply skimming and scanning strategies for relevant information and main points in text to identify the writer's purpose and intended audience. We are very well aware of these two reading strategies. We will practice and we will do some drills for that. Now, next up, identifying the rhyme schemes and figurative language in poems. We will go through different rhyme schemes and we will see how we can identify a rhyme scheme of the given poem, and you will be very happy to know that this will be very beneficial for you in the exam. Second is evaluate stages of plot. And we know what are the stages of plot, but we will explore on this SLO. We know that there are 5 stages, yes, and we will revise it and we will learn more about it. And here, lastly, evaluate the particular elements of story or drama. For example, how the setting shapes the characters or plot. So, how does one element of a story can affect on all the other elements? So, this is a relatively interesting point that we will see. Lecture number 10 is all about your oral communication, because as good speakers as somebody who wants to be a good speaker, according to the curriculum has added this SLO that we have taken over here. Perform a drama, role or play or a role play or play script showing different roles and scenarios through deliberate choice of dialogues or speech. So I hope that you will come prepared for this oral communication lecture. We will interact with that in a very good way so that we can improve our English language skills. And lastly, as we always do, the last SLO that we cover in this lecture series is the writing SLO. So for the writing, the SLO says write multiple paragraphs. We know how to write a paragraph, but what if we want to write multiple paragraphs? This comes handy and very helpful in essays and stories where you will write multiple paragraphs, or even any kind of narrative or descriptive text. The second one is proofread and edit text for errors. We will find all these errors that are very common when we are writing something. Subject verb agreement, noun pronoun agreement, reference words, connectives or transitional devices, and finally punctuation and spelling. So we will practice that how we can make our writing and our grammar efficient by avoiding all these kinds of common errors. So this is very much important to understand. This is the overview of all these SLOs that we will be covering. I'll see you in the next video lesson. Allah Hafiz.